All right, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. How you guys all doing? Um, Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly in the chat. We have a special guest here in the house today. Um, and I am super excited. So we're just testing the mic and checking, making sure that we are up and running. Just say yes in the chat if you guys can hear me. Let me see. I see Abdul Kareem here. How you doing? Marco, welcome to the webinar. We are super excited. We got something special for you guys today. We got Dr. Fatai Oluyadi, and I'm so pumped because, listen, he is amazing. He's going to be sharing some words of wisdom and knowledge with us today. You know, a lot of people are already checking in from everywhere. So we're going live right now on YouTube. So if you guys are on YouTube and you're watching the show, just put your questions. We're going to reserve questions towards the end of the webinar. So I know you guys have a lot of questions for him today, but just put your comments right in the comment section if you're live on YouTube, because we only have limited amount of space on the platform. So once there's not enough space, just hop on live on us, join us on YouTube live, and we'll be there. I'll be looking at all those questions, and we'll try to answer as much questions as we can. So I know we have a lot to cover today, and I'm gonna introduce him to you guys, and so we can begin the show. So welcome to the show. I see you there, Dr. Oluyadi. I'm super excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much. So for you guys, if this is your first time coming to our webinar, this is our roadmap to residency webinar, right? By Smash USMLE Reviews. And today we're gonna be talking about how Dr. Oluyadi matched internal medicine, one of the most sought specialty out there by IMGs. I'll probably say maybe about 70 or 80% of IMGs are applying to internal medicine every year. So I know how important this webinar is to you guys to see, like, how do I maximize my chance? How did he do it? And what's the specialty all about? Like, what's the lifestyle like? What are the challenges that you faced and things like that? So we have so much to talk about today, but remember, anything is possible if you believe in yourself and you believe in God. I tell you guys, it's a rough road, it's a tough road, it's not meant for everyone, but if you're committed to becoming a better physician, you got to believe in yourself and you got to believe in God. And if you do those two things, anything is possible. So without further ado, actually made a little error there because I forgot to take that off. Sorry. Let me fix this real quick. Sorry, guys. Just give me one quick second. All right. I had one of my previous webinar before, so all right, we should be good now. All right, let me know if you guys can all see my screen now. All right, perfect. Can you guys see us live on YouTube? I just want to check with our YouTube followers real quick. Sorry, guys. I just, we like to make sure that, people all around are okay. I see a few people already responding on YouTube to make sure that the streaming, so we're making sure we're not running into any technical problems. All right, perfect. All right, I think we should be good now. All right, so Dr. Oluyadi, just a little introduction. He was born and raised in Nigeria. He attended medical school at Windsor University School of Medicine at St. Kitts. He completed his residency in internal medicine at Brookdale University Hospital and in the medical center in Brooklyn, New York in 2020. If you guys don't know what that residency in New York, it's a very popular residency run by Dr. Conrad Fisher, the guy that wrote Master the Boards. So he has had an opportunity to train with one of the top people in the industry. He's currently a hospitalist in South Carolina, and outside of practicing medicine, sorry, I think the slide might have cut off here, but I'll get it back. Basically, outside of practicing medicine and teaching medicine, he loves to dabble in personal discovery, which is one of the things he really loves to do. He also loves to teach. I don't know if you guys seen some of his videos on YouTube. They're pretty amazing. Like, he breaks down topics like no one has ever done. Like, I was pretty impressed. He goes over topics in critical care It is amazing. Like, he's such an excellent teacher. And he's really, really good at what he does. Now he's a hospitalist, practicing medicine, and he literally try to change the world. So without further ado, I want to welcome Dr. Fatai Oluyadi to the show. Please, thank you for coming to our show today. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my brother. Seriously, before I say anything, right, I just want people to understand, you know, the background to all of this. First of all, Dr. Adesina is what I would consider, for my generation, one of the OGs in in the medical education, you know, sphere. And the reason why I said that is, I'm sure a lot of you, I'm not sure when many of you guys, you know, finished medicine and, you know, did all that, but I really have been watching his videos for the past 10 years now. I first discovered this video, I think, in 2010, if I remember correctly. And for me at that time, I wasn't even in medical school then. I was, you know, doing some basic science course, some pharmacology course, and I just, you know, stumbled on one of the videos and I thought, wow, that was amazing. One day I'd like to teach like this guy, you know? But here we are 10 years later. I just want to say, you know, for everything you've done, thank you for all of the inspiration you've given myself and countless other people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know you're not stopping. You continue to help as many people as possible. This is what you're called to do. This is your calling. This is what you're here for. And I'm truly honored, truly grateful to be on this platform to share this, you know, few minutes with the rest of the guys with you.
Wow, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It means a lot. You know, we don't have a lot of us in medicine, you know.
I appreciate that for sure.
Someone's got to give back, right?
Yep.
Somebody got to look back and say, hey, listen, we're less than 2%. That's the number. I'm telling you, 2%. And I think for females in medicine, there's more Black females in medicine than even males.
Wow.
So we are even, I call Black males in medicine, you know, extinct species.
Sadly.
So I am proud of what you've accomplished. It's amazing. There's so many people on here looking up to you, also saying, listen, if you did it, I want to know exactly how you did it. Because I remember back in 2006, when I was in college in 2004, and I'm meeting all these medical students, and I'm in awe, right? I'm like blown away seeing all these people. They're walking around with their first aid. And I'm like, what's that little orange and yellow book? They're like, oh, dude, you have no idea. This is the book you're going to need to know. I was like, if only somebody can let me in too, please.
Oh, my God.
I know the feeling. I listen, man, it's mutual. It's mutually exclusive. So,
wow.
Tell us about yourself. We want to know exactly who is Dr. Oluyadi. Tell us about
you. Well, you know, nothing fancy. Born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria. I'm a true Lagos boy, like I tell everybody. Lagos made me a man in a way. You know, left Lagos a while ago, and then moved to England for a little bit, and then eventually went to medical school in the Caribbean. I finished my medical school in the Caribbean, and obviously at the time, I really just wanted to come to the States and do residency. And because I wanted to do that, because obviously there were several options. You could finish medical school in the Caribbean, you could go back to Nigeria and work. You could, you know, work in the Caribbean itself. You know, you could take some of the certification exams in the Caribbean. There were some issues with my school at the time going to UK to work, but it was also one of those remote possibilities. And people did all sorts of things. But I just wanted to come to the States to practice medicine. So obviously the USMLE was a big deal. And it was in the beginning, I realized if I had to come from my school to eventually come to the States and do residency, I had to do well on the USMLE. And that is really where it all begins. We'll talk more about, you know, some of the specifics, but really that's where it all begins. I know there's been a lot of changes, but still, that's where everything begins. So moving forward, finished medical school. I couldn't come to the States because some of the people who went to my medical school did rotations in the States. I couldn't come to the States because I didn't have, you know, the visas to do so at the time, and I kept getting rejected back and forth. So obviously, people have different struggles, different, you know, paths.
We want to hear your struggles. People want to hear your struggle because, you know, the funny thing is, I'm sorry to cut you off, that
Yeah, it's fine.
everybody on this platform is an IMG, probably maybe
Yeah.
plus or minus a few people.
Yeah.
90%. Some people have visa problems. Some people don't have a green card. They're not a permanent resident. Some people are married. Some people got kids. Some people have failed the USMLE before.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many stories. And
Wow.
when I bring you guys on, I want, they want to know, like, how did you overcome this? Like, so don't hold back. Like, they want to hear that. That's the, go ahead.
All right. So I had that visa issue for a long time. This was a huge, probably about 4-year struggle trying to get a visa to come to the US. But what I realized at that time was there were certain part of this journey that I could control, and there were certain parts that I couldn't control. While I tried to, get ahead of those things that I couldn't necessarily control, the ones that were within my control, I did not, ignore it. I did not play with it at all. And what was it that I could control? My work ethic. That was the only thing I had. So I was going to have visa struggles. I knew if I overcame the visa struggles, I was going to come to America not knowing anyone. And I was still going to have to struggle to get into residency. All of those things laid there, but I couldn't get focused on that. I just had to focus on, what? This is the exam that I need to use to prove myself. And that's what I kind of put the work in, thankfully. So eventually, when I finished medical school, did all my rotations in the Caribbean, I decided to start teaching in the same medical school. While I was in medical school, I was already teaching, side hustle type of thing, people doing several exams. In fact, I remember I was teaching the USMLE content before I actually wrote my USMLE. Wow. Yeah. It was just a love for medicine and inspiration from Dr. Adesina, watching him those many years back. So yeah, you know what? I could give this a shot as well, right? So I was teaching that, and eventually when I finished, there was really nothing for me to do, and I didn't want to go back to Nigeria at the time. So I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to stay behind.
When did you finish?
I finished in 2015. That's when I finished all my clinical rotations.
You took your step one when though?
I took my step one in 2014. I took my step one in 2013, actually.
Okay.
2013. Oh, my bad. I'm mixing this up. I took my step one in 2014. My bad. Okay. 2014 is when I took my step one. And then I took step two in 2015, towards the end of 2015. Anyways, so I finished 2015, stayed back on the island. I got a job in the school where I finished, thankfully, and I was there for about a year. But because I had now a status in the island, more like, something different from a student status, it just gave me a better picture to go present myself for a visa again, for a US visa. And thankfully, that was when I got the US visa. So I was already 1 year into the teaching. I got the US visa, so I needed an exit strategy, right? Obviously, I was just going to come to the States regardless of how it happened and figure things out. So I had my last assignment in the school was in August of 2016. And then right as soon as I finished, I moved to the States. In that transition, honestly, as a man, you had to feed and, you had to survive and fend for yourself, at that time. So most of what I did was tutoring USMLE, online. And that's kind of what I used to sustain myself all through that period. I started before I left the island. I transitioned those classes online mostly. And I did that for about a year, just retaining the batches back to back. And in the end of 2016, I came to US in September of 2016. In October of 2016, I hadn't written my USMLE Step 2 CS yet. And obviously that was the reason why I'd come to the US to write that exam. But I also knew I wanted to network. And this is for somebody who didn't know anybody in the US. I knew I wanted to network.
Have you been to the US then though? Have you been to
the US? That was my first time actually. That was in September of 2016.
Wow.
Right. So I wanted to network. I needed, so a friend of mine who we were teaching together back in Ireland said, you know what, his uncle is organizing this conference that some doctors were going to be there and I should just go and see what was going on there. So I went to the conference. I didn't know who was coming. I just felt, there were going to be doctors there. I'm going to mingle around. You just show my face and say, "Hey, what's up? What's going on? Can you give me a job?" And so, right. So I eventually went there, and as everything would happen, I actually realized that Conrad Fisher was actually speaking at that conference. It was a Syrian American Medical Society conference, and Conrad Fisher was speaking there. Was this really into injustice around the world and trying to put a voice to fighting that. I was there. I saw him all the way in the front of the hall. I said, "Wow, this is amazing! It's a good chance for me to meet this guy." He was all the way in the front of the hall. I sat in the back and I was just sitting. I said, asking myself, what, is this how my life would just wash away in front of me without actually going for it? So I decided, I was going to go all the way to the front, pull the chair next to him, stretch out my hands, "Hello, Dr. Fisher, thank you so much for everything you've done, for teaching and, really making it easy for people who are coming from outside the US." Because most of what Kaplan, I think, in my opinion, did was to give people a chance from people, especially coming from outside the US. And that's what Dr. Adesina is doing in a remarkable, new and more practical way to give people a chance to be able to cross that hurdle. So I introduced myself and, we talked and, he was asking what I was doing. At the time, I hadn't written my USMLE Step 2 CS. So I really didn't think I was going to apply that year. But, I told him, okay, I was going to wait and write my USMLE Step 2 CS because the date was all the way in December set up. And I was like, "Why haven't you applied?" He asked me my scores. I told him my scores. And, "Wow, you have decent scores. You should apply." He felt like I was going to get interviewed regardless of whether I'd written this USMLE Step 2 CS or not. And that was the reason why I actually applied. I went back and said, maybe this is true. Maybe some people will give me a shot, before even getting my USMLE Step 2 results back. So I went, bought the token and did everything, got my letters and whatnot. Eventually, I got a chance to interview in this program, which was incredible. And I went to the interview, was myself. I wasn't staying, and we're going to talk about this for people who are interviewing this season. I wasn't hiding in the crowd and I wasn't being too obnoxious either. I just was interested in the people who were coming to talk to us as interviewees. I was just like, what's up with you? What's your story? And what I've realized over the years in dealing with people generally, people appreciate when you're interested in them. When you want to know about somebody else's story, it means you care a little bit about them, not what they're trying to give you. You just like them as an individual. And that's all I was doing in that interview. Like, what's going on? Where you from? How did you get here? What's your journey through medicine? Those kind of things inspire me. Because if I hear other people's stories, I'm like, what? Maybe I'm not that bad either. I can actually, aspire to that. So, that in that interview space, I felt there was a flow of communication between myself as one of the many interviewees with the residents that were talking to us and just trying to get a feel of the room. And I feel like that significantly played to my favor because obviously you saw somebody you could relate with. You saw somebody you could work with. You saw somebody that kind of was interested in you. And this is the thing, first of all, you have to be yourself wherever you are. And you have to, just be able to blend in regardless of how different you are from those people. The human experience is the human experience. That's the thing that connects all of us. I thought that really played to my advantage. Anyways, I was offered the contract on the spot, thankfully, by God's mercy.
Wait a minute. Let's backtrack.
Yeah.
You went for, okay, there's so much to unpack, right? Because you went for the interview, right? And during the interview, they offered you a contract?
Absolutely.
Stop it.
Absolutely, yeah. And, that was one of the ways that the program, did their thing at that time. It changes, different years.
No, I know there are programs that can offer like, you know, like a pre-match kind of thing.
Pre-match type of thing. So that's how they did it at the time. But you know, I was just like, I didn't know how to even describe the feeling, because I wasn't planning to apply that year. By stroke of mercy of God, I somehow ran into this guy that I didn't plan on meeting. I somehow managed to get an interview in the program, because it's a very competitive program, because you had, just because of the name, actually, you had thousands of IMGs applying to the same program. I managed to get an interview there, and I managed to impress the guys that were interviewing. And it was just like, oh my God. I'm saying that not so, because everybody's story is different. But there's some things that are very common to everybody's story. And after some of the questions, I'll probably go deeper into my personal advice to people interviewing this season. Anyways, got the job, had to sort out visa issues, eventually left the States, went back to the Caribbean, got visas, came back in July, and here we are.
So I'm gonna unpack them for you. We're gonna take this little packets at a time. Let's start with the almighty step one.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
When you were studying for step one in the Caribbean Island, and let's be very real here. I'm as real with all my students as I can.
Yeah.
When people go to the Caribbean island, right? It's a sink or swim.
Absolutely, right? Man. Oh my God.
Let's start with that, because for some people in the Caribbean medical schools right now, and they're struggling, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I get these calls every day. Like,
wow.
I'm taking my MBME. I've been home for 18 months. I left the island like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I haven't even taken step one. Like, and we start to unpack that just to even before we touch step one.
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, where I went, first of all, wasn't one of these fancy Caribbean medical schools. There were no, the big three, big four. It wasn't none of those guys.
And for you guys, if you don't know what the big four is, it's Ross, St. George's, AUA, right?
And AUC.
Those are the big four. So when you get in the Caribbean islands, a bunch of medical schools. There's so many of them over there. So if you're listening over the internet and you're like, "What's that?" Like those are, if you're not in that top four schools, now, why do they call them the big four? Like maybe you can tell them.
Because first of all, these schools actually supply the largest pool of doctors into U.S. residencies in every given year. And they have the infrastructure to make sure that happens. First of all, in the selection. Second of all, in the requirements to advance through their programs. So I feel like at the end of the day, if you're able to move through, get along in that school, your chances of eventually matching and doing residency in the US is much higher. Not a lot of the other schools have the infrastructure to do that. And, it doesn't mean that you go there and you match all of it, automatically. You still have to bust your ass to do that. But you are at a better chance of getting it done if you bust your ass. You get what I mean? As opposed to...
But the truth, though, like, so I always like to tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
If you go to a Caribbean medical school, you've got about a 50% chance of matching.
Yeah.
Like, roughly. Like,
no doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
They don't talk about the people that drop out of medical school. And that pisses me off. Like, it really does piss me off. Because I'm like, you cannot take 1,000 people into medical school and 50% of them are failing before they even get to step one.
Yep. And
that's the reality. Now, I don't always blame the medical schools, because I'm like, if you're weak students to start off with, you're not going to survive when you get there.
Yeah.
Before you walk on campus and say, hey, I want to be a doctor, you better make sure your mind is set and knowing that it's sink or swim.
Absolutely. And, that's a reality. I'm glad you're touching on that, because when I was in medical school, if, for example, in my class, we probably started with roughly 100 students. No, maybe 90 students on average. At the time, I was writing the step one, which was about 2 years and 2 years and a half after starting medical school. Maybe only 4 of the people were writing the USMLE step one at the time. 4 out of a class of about 90 students.
Why?
So it was a mix of people not even making it to that stage because they had all sorts of retakes and stuff like that, sadly. And people just not even getting close to being able to be ready for the USMLE. Not remote, just forget it. It wasn't going to happen.
Wow.
Right? Eventually, some people, tiny other fraction, caught up, but it was just a mess.
That
In the
doesn't
others,
make any sense though.
it doesn't make one. Okay,
Are you sure it's 4 though?
I'm
4 is
telling you,
that's a low number.
that's a terrible number. It's a disastrous number when you look at the amount of students who. It's gotten much better now. I'll be honest with you, but at that time it was terrible. And a good other reason why that might have happened was you had a lot of non-American, non-Canadian students in my class who didn't really just care about the USMLE and just wanted to go back
to their country.
It's going back to their countries, right? But let's say out of a class of 90, maybe about 45 were from America and Canada, and out of that 45, maybe only another 5. At the time I was writing it, which I thought was the okay time, which is 2 years.
2015 is 5 years ago. I mean, like 6 years ago. We're not talking about like some crazy like 20
years, right.
That's plus you finish your residency.
Exactly. So it was a ridiculously small number. In some of the other schools, you had a better structure. It doesn't mean people weren't failing out. A lot of people were failing out in their first, second semester, but a better portion of the starting class maybe got to that level and eventually wrote the steps. Regardless of that, I just you can't a lot of things is mindset, and a lot of things is understanding where you want to go as an individual, not as a member of a group or a member of a crew, or as a person. Where do you want to go? And that is what is going to determine the amount of work you put in. Everybody has their own journey. I always had the impression that being from Nigeria, and it wasn't like I could get into medical school in Nigeria and I just didn't want to. I went to the Caribbean. Right. It was very competitive getting to medical school in Nigeria.
I didn't get it. I got rejected, man. They gave me environmental biology.
You get what I mean? I did biochemistry first. I did another course afterwards. I couldn't get it. It was ridiculously difficult. So I knew that I was getting a grace. And I didn't want to abuse that grace. I wasn't in medical school like, oh yeah, I'm the smartest and I'm just gonna roll through it. I need like, oh my God, somebody just sneak me in the room. How do I stay in the room forever? You get what I mean? That's how I thought about it. So I personally didn't take it for granted. I was like, wow, if I'm here now, how do I make the best of this? And it was from the beginning, I knew I wasn't going to be in any crowd. Everybody could do whatever they want to do. I was going to fix my head to where I was going. Obviously, it's not that easy. It's easier said than done. But you just, had to apply yourself differently. So if I was working and studying and, grinding, I was thinking of all of the other people all over the world that are grinding just as much as me, trying to obtain the same residency that I wanted to obtain. I wasn't looking at the guy that was next to me who was doing their thing.
Wow.
I was thinking, I'm not competing with nobody here.
Wow, that's true.
I'm not. I'm like, wow, the people in India, the people in China, people from Nigeria, way smarter people that were going to want to compete for the same residency as I was. So if I wasn't doing the job on their level or even more than they were doing, I wasn't kicking it at all. You get what I mean? And that's kind of what just allowed me to maintain, the focus, maintain the intensity. And, thankfully, I was able to do that. And I was, I just got invested in learning medicine, man, all around.
How long did it take you to study for step 1?
So I'd finished my my what we call the 5th semester at in I would say around August roughly of the previous year, and I wrote my USMLE step 1 in February. Although it wasn't like I was chilling on the island then, I had started clinical rotations, because you could actually start clinical rotations without the USMLE. So I would say it probably dedicated study, I would say at least 4 months back and forth, right? So I had 1 month break here. I was doing clinical rotation and I had another 3 months break, but it was a carry-on study from the first semester. It wasn't like, I just woke up one day, I was going to start studying for the USMLE. It was a continuous, but I would say for sure dedicated, where I wasn't doing anything, no clinical rotations, no nothing. I'd say 4 months.
So what did you use when you were studying for boards, and how did you do?
So obviously everything started from the foundation, even before going to medical school, I'd watch a lot of your videos. They helped significantly. And I'm not trying to prop things up here. I'm being incredibly honest. One of the things that I felt was very important to me, for me getting to medical school, was not to make some of the mistakes that I made in Nigeria in my academics. So I just wanted to have a leg ahead somewhat. So while I was in England, I'd partially been in around students who were studying pharmacy, and I was taking classes with them, and I used that opportunity to brush up on some of the basic science courses that I'd taken in Nigeria, and it was one of them that actually introduced me to your videos. And I watched your heart sound videos. I watched your, a lot of them were cardiology videos for some reason at that time. But when I started the first semester in physiology, I felt like I had an advantage. Obviously, I'd done a little bit of it from Nigeria, but some of the brush up just kind of put me in an advantage. So I felt like, oh yeah, I know what they're talking about. Let's go. And all of that foundation, by the time I was in my 4th semester, I started taking USMLE study very, very seriously. So I actually started doing some Q banks. So when I finished my 4th semester and we started the 5th semester, which was almost like a dedicated period where we were supposed to study for the USMLE, I decided to take an MBME, and I bombed that MBME. It was horrible.
Doctor, right?
It was horrible.
Wake up,
I bombed it terribly, but that was like the wake-up call. Like, you can know all of these fancy things, you can do well among your mates and do all of this and still not be ready for the USMLE. So it was like a
Do you remember what you got? Do you remember what you got?
I probably got a 189 at the time. I'm telling you.
This is you in medical school, right?
This is me in medical school. I felt, oh man, the smart kid, blah, 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 blah. I still bombed it. So if I look at that because eventually ended up scoring a 252 on the USM step 1. If I look at the journey from 189 to 252, it was a grind, man. It was a grind. And that's why I tell people is you don't have to start being smart. You just have to apply yourself to what your situation and what your specific weakness is and your strengths, and get guidance and just grind through the process. You get what I mean? Anyways, that was the score at the time.
Sorry, Kurt. Did you take another? So let's talk about that MBME, because in our program, every student has to take an MBME.
Yeah.
And this is the response, Dr.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't do anything. And
yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, and I have students that come to my program, like I've been studying for a year, and they'll take me and get a 120. And I said, you just told me you're about to go take the exam in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So can you tell them why this MBME is literally, because I've been preaching the gospel for like
guys, this is the way it is. Studying for this exam is an all-encompassing process. It's a spiritual, it's an emotional, it's a mental, it's a physical, it's all of these things combined. And I feel like the things that clears your mind as to knowing what amount of work to do, how to apply yourself specifically in the different areas, is to do an assessment where you mess up. You're better off doing that assessment early and understanding a lot of these things, charging yourself up, and then fixing the problem, then to say, you know what, I don't know enough, and waste time, and then do it late where you don't have time to fix the problem. So it's incredibly crucial to do an assessment way early in the process. because I felt like that assessment was like the biggest wake-up call for me. That what? I'm gonna fail this exam, right? It was like, what is going on here? And I just knew. It wasn't like somebody was telling me to study. I just knew that I had no choice than to just like grind like crazy. So I set up schedules, looked at other people's schedules, just do all the things that I needed to do, and kept doing assessments like monthly. At some point, it was like every 3 weeks, because I knew that was the only way to get to the next phase. I wasn't too concerned. Obviously, everybody wanted to score well on an assessment, but that's not the point. The point is to see where I needed to work. The point was to see what work I needed to do, and that's kind of how I use those assessments to guide myself eventually up into feeling ready for the exam.
So how were you? Did you take another assessment a week before you took your exam? And when did you? What was that thing that you're like, I think I'm ready? Like, when was that moment?
So, so let's say 1 month to my exam, I'd taken an assessment where I had, I think, a 254. So at that point, it was like, is this a fluke? Is this a fluke, or am I actually there? But sadly for me, all of it. So I took another assessment, I think 2 weeks after that, and I took three assessments in the last 2 weeks before my exam. It was a mixture of 244, 249. Some of those scores, I knew going in I was going to pass, right? But I couldn't tell for sure whether I was going to, hit a high
240 plus.
Right. And I think I took the UL self-assessment at the time. It was like some astronomical number. I was like, oh, this looks fake. Because it wasn't matching up with my NBME, right? But anyways, I went in the exam knowing that at least if worst case scenario, I was going to end up at a 240, God willing. And it just kind of made me come, and I was just going to go to the exam, do one question at a time. I see this question, apply myself, move to the next question, delete that question from my head, apply myself for this specific question. And it just did that from the beginning to the end of it. Well, that's how I've always taken exams. And I think that's how people should take exams. So the MBMs were very crucial during that process. And I had blocks of what I wanted to do. I thought that was also crucial. So if I had a 6 week, period, let's say I had 3 months period, right? I wanted to divide my work in blocks, because it was easy for me to be goal-oriented. So, this 2 week block, I want to do pathoma twice. This 3 week block, I want to go through first aid, back to back. This 1 month block, the questions were the constant thing. The Q bank was...
You're always doing questions, right?
That was always there, but I just needed to have blocks of stuffs that I wanted to do. So it was more goal type of thing. So I knew if I missed a day, I'm in trouble. You get what I mean? Because
so literally you had daily targets, weekly targets, and blocks, so that you are going step by step. You're checking off like, all right, I just finished this block up to the next.
Absolutely. And I use my scores, my performances on the test and stuff to kind of guide myself. So I remember there was a block that I dedicated to molecular biology, genetics, and biostat, because those were like the craziest parts of the exams at some point, right?
The treat.
I'm telling you, oh my God. So I dedicated a block to that. I just like grinded through all of the materials I needed to do. And, that's kind of how I felt like I navigated that process,
You laid this well perfectly, because, this is the system we use in Smash USM, and literally guide our students step by step. We create schedules. They meet with our coaches one-on-one. We give them blocks, we give them schedules from dedicated, pre-dedicated. And sometimes maybe they may feel overwhelmed, like, oh my God, am I supposed to? And I said, listen, you want to get that 240? Like 50? Like, this is what the guy who's scoring the 250s are going to do. I'm glad you touched on the NBME, because I don't know if you know this is going on the internet as we speak. Do you know like people are looking for the answers for the NBME online to try to memorize NBME answers?
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Let's backtrack. When I try to remember what I felt when I wrote the USMLE, my just gut feeling about if somebody would ask me, what do you see about this exam? Can I say it in 1 minute? And all I remembered coming out of the exam was 30% memorization and 70% understanding. Yeah. And I felt genuinely that the guys that write that exam are probably some of the smartest people in the world, because they know what you memorized. They know exactly, for some reason, they know what you memorized, and they position those questions, they make those stems to get you to choose what you memorized, but the question is asking something completely different. So you can, if you thought the memorization was going to help you do well on the exam, 30% is not going to help you pass.
You're doomed. You're doomed.
You're dead. You're done. That's it. 70%, because obviously you have to memorize. Nobody's saying you should memorize.
Of course. HLA-DR5, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm just going to memorize that. Like, right. It is what it is.
Right. But it is. But memorization over understanding, you're done. And you know, when we, I'm sure you do this a lot in many of the videos, right? When we're teaching for this exam, we're not teaching so that you memorize. We're teaching so that you understand. And we're not teaching so that you just understand for the exam, but you're teaching so that you can save a life. So don't ignore that. That's the primary goal. That is the primary goal.
Please, can you say that again? Can you say that again? Because I want to hear that.
Right. Because when Dr. Additional teaches you this concept in medicine, whatever level, he's not teaching you so you can memorize it. Yes, he wants you to pass the exam, but the primary goal is so that you can take that information and save a life. Do not fly over that, because the people that are writing this exam know what they want to get out of you. And if you fly over that, you fly over the primary, process in achieving anything meaningful in this preparation. So that has to be the primary driver. Does this help me help a patient? And then if you learn it well, and then you do some of the dot the I's and cross the T's, you will be able to pass the exam conveniently. You understand? And that's where you have to reorganize your mind. You just have to be invested in learning medicine. And if you're invested in learning medicine, medicine rewards you. It's a very rigorous thing to learn because it's just too wide. But if you invest yourself genuinely, sincerely learning the medicine, it rewards you. Obviously, it's not a one-day thing. I could sit here and say, you know what, I want to learn medicine, I'm going to learn it in a week. No, you're going to learn all what you can learn in a week, and at the end of the week, still feel like you don't know nothing. Then you're going to do 1 week after that, another week after that, and for the rest of your life, you're doing the same thing. But trust me, the rewards of that comes as you go. And that's just my thought in this preparation of thing. Because it's not about going to memorize concepts. If you miss the primary point, you probably won't learn it as well. And that's just, I think it's obvious, and I'm sure Dr. Adesina feels the same. But some people miss that point, and you're like, wait, you're getting it wrong. You're getting it wrong to begin with, right? Anyways,
you could have said it better, because if you look at our slogan, we said we're training to become a better physician.
Yeah.
And when people come to our program, and the person is like, I need to get through the USMLE, and I can clearly see that they're caught in the woods.
Oh
right?
my!
It's like you're running through a forest. And there's somebody who's on a drone or in a skyscraper that's like beautiful vegetation, hills and mountains, but you're down at the bottom of the forest in the lake, the lagoons, and you're like, oh, this is horrible, right?
Horrible.
and when I tell them, like, I'm not training you to just pass a test.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the objective, you've missed the whole point. Like, you're screwed up. I mean, I keep telling them that, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
When you walk in first day of residency, you're walking into that hospital, and Dr. Fisher says, Fatai, go into that room 3, go and assess that patient, come out and give me an HMP with a differential diagnosis and management. Tell me if these patients come with questions on their forehead with options E, and D, so that you can pick the best answer or the most accurate answer, and go to your attending and present to them. Like, when I read this, when the patient presented the case to me, between options D and E, I wasn't really sure, but I picked D, and it might be the right answer.
Oh my
Like,
God.
let's talk to the practicality of what we actually are doing, right? Because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
get lost in the shuffle of reading questions on a screen.
yeah.
Tell me what happens when you walk in first day of residency and your attending is like, oh, Fatai, tell me the pathophysiology of DKA.
Seriously, I feel like the moment you're in a hospital, if God willing, everyone on this platform, because I know everyone is trying to get to that point. And God willing, everybody gets there.
They will. They will. I'm going to make them. They have no
Oh, for sure. Right. So you get there, I promise you, the only thing that is going to come out and save you is the doctor inside of you. Not the exam taker, not the memorizer, not the, researcher. It is the doctor inside of you that's going to come out and save you. It is a crazy tough experience. I promise you that. People don't understand. I wanted to run away. I'm telling you, I was in the ICU in my first night in the hospital. I didn't practice medicine in America. I didn't train in America. I wanted to run. Like, just, I'm not supposed to be here.
Quick, where's the exit?
Where's the exit? I'm telling you. But the only thing that comes out to save you is the doctor that you've prepared inside of you. Your ability to just sit, assess a situation, put your knowledge into use, just be a human being trying to solve another human being's problem. It's not memorization, or you understand, you obviously have to memorize stuff, but if you don't train the doctor in this process, it's going to come back. And you'll be surprised that despite the glory of getting into residency, there's still a lot of struggle, mental health, so many different things that we go through in this profession. A lot of times it's our inability to just channel the doctor inside of us, or the fact that we've ignored that thing inside of us that's supposed to come out and when we're in front of these patients. So looking for it is just so difficult because you're overwhelmed with just a barrage of things coming at you. And people have to understand that you're studying for these exams, but your priority is to nurture the doctors inside of you, not the exam taker inside of you, not the researcher inside of you. Your priority is to nurture that doctor, being able to solve problems. You understand? With knowledge, with attention to detail, with being thorough. And eventually you realize that those are the same things actually you need to do well on the exam if you really look at it.
Wow, you've dropped so much bombs. I'm like excited. Let's talk about step 2 CK, right? You got 252, that's like astronomically insane numbers.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. You don't get better than that.
Thank you.
Top 4%, top 8% of people crushing this exam.
Thank you.
But you've kind of laid out like the work ethic that goes into getting 50. Now you gotta beat step 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you set the bar for step 1. How do you what was your plan for step 2 CK?
So again, this is the human story, and I'm going to share a lot of that too with you here, right? So when I finished medical school, I needed to take the rest of the exams, but again, I had started teaching. So I started teaching in May of 2015, and my goal was to take step 2 CK in that same year in September. So, the duty of teaching, new work, trying to adjust to it, I ended up studying in the morning when I get to my office, probably from 6:30 to about 7:30 before I start to prepare for my classes. And then when I'm done, maybe I get home 7 o'clock after or whatever, and then maybe put in another 3 hours or so. So maybe on the average about 4 hours I was studying like that till 3 weeks before my exam. So I had really 3 weeks of, dedicated period after having done that, scattered studying for about 3 or 4 months. I knew how to do well, and I knew I had to do better than my step 1. But this is where I went wrong. I went wrong by deluding myself that I was going to give that exam anything less than what I gave my step 1. And I know a lot of people fall into that trap as well. I ended up scoring 246 on my step 2 CK, which was, 6 points less, 6 points lower. But if I could do it again, I will be very careful not to delude myself of that reality. Because people have the impression that, step one is the craziest one. Once you get through it, just glide through your step two. And a lot of people fall victim to that. Thankfully, it wasn't worse than that for me. But my advice to anybody in that process right now, do not delude yourself that you're going to give anything less to your step two CK than what you give to your step one. They're both incredibly difficult exams. In fact, the ROI of giving that energy to step 2CK is much more, in my opinion. If you gave the same effort you gave in your step 1 to step 2CK, you're bound to achieve more in your step 2CK, but don't get carried away that you're going to give less, because there could be a dramatic drop. So that's my big advice. Anyways, I wasn't impressed, but I thought I did decent, right? And right, my goal at the time was, try to read the books that I knew I was going to read. I used MTB 2 and 3 at the time. I did a little bit of first aid, step 2 CK, but I didn't eventually use that much of it. And questions, man. Everybody has a different, right? I didn't work in America. I didn't go to do rotations in America, so I didn't really know what the standard of care, was specific to American environment. Sadly, where I did my rotations, it was something completely different from whatever it is that we're doing here. But I felt like the Q banks were my window into seeing what the standards were, and they really helped me, even though I struggled a lot. Because it wasn't now just my ability to understand concepts. It was me just knowing what the standard of care was. And if you don't know what the standard of care was, you're just like, you're done, right? So I felt like UWorld was my window at the time. Obviously it didn't remove the fact that, seeing these patients would have been a way better experience, but it was my window at the time and I had to use it well. So I ended up going through UWorld. I went through Kaplan CKQ Bank at the time as well.
You did 2 Q banks. Wow.
I did. I didn't do the Kaplan Q Bank as well as I did. I probably did maybe about 50% of the Kaplan Q Bank, but UWorld, I did, the entire thing and all my incorrect. And that's something I always do for any Q Bank. I always do my incorrect.
Wait a minute. Did you say you're doing correct?
I do.
Okay, because here's another dilemma, right?
Yeah.
You explain to students.
Yeah.
You took a 40-question block.
Yeah.
How long is the time that you take between taking the exam, the block, and reviewing it? Just give them a ballpark. How many hours it typically takes?
So, on a regular schedule, I always think about the review in 2 steps. All right. I do a block, obviously about an hour for 40 questions. I do a rapid review right after that, where I just click, oh, I got that wrong. Oh, that's the answer. Oh, I got it. Oh, that's the answer. Oh, okay. I do that for 10, 15 minutes and I just chill for a bit, probably, get a drink or whatever, and then come back and do a detailed review where I actually write stuff, look at the concept here. So overall, it will probably take 3 hours to do 1 block of questions.
Say that again. How many hours?
3 hours. Okay. 3 hours.
Guys, because I get these phone calls and these messages on my phone, and it's like, Dr. Adeshina, I'm spending 3 hours on this block, and I feel like I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Oh my God.
I was trying to be like, that's normal. Can you tell that that's a normal process?
It's a normal process. That's the only way you can get anything out of the block, because you're doing so many questions. If you don't do a detailed review like that, it's just like a mirage. Everything just gets mixed up. You have to write stuff down, document, fix the knowledge gaps as you go. And that's your main opportunity to do that. Really, that reveals your biggest opportunity to fix the knowledge gaps, because that's really what you're trying to do. So, I don't know this.
But the students sometimes think, I just want to get through 2,500 questions.
That's not the point, man. Okay, yes, we all want to get through 5,000 questions, right? Space your study to allow you to do that, but don't compromise on the quality of review you do. You understand? Calculate realistically, right? I always look at it that on the average, most people will be able to do a block a day. So if you do a block a day and in a month you have 4 days off, which I think is, realistic, right? So 26 days in a month, you probably will be able to cover maybe 1,000 questions. So realistically, that 3,000 questions that you want to go through will probably take you 3 months. If
That's
you want
dedicated.
to get...
That's insane dedication, right?
Insane dedication. Exactly. Insane dedication. Because sometimes you get burnt out, you're just like, I can't do this anymore, right? That's crazy dedication, but you have to be clear about what it's going to take. As opposed to saying, you know what, I have 1 month and I want to go through all of UWorld. You're just, I think that's just going to be shabby work. You're probably not going to get anything real from it. And you're just going to say, I did UWorld, but really, you didn't. You just...
Because I get calls or emails like, I've gone through UWorld twice. And I said, there's no way you were twice, right?
Yeah.
Any QBank, there's Amboss, there's Smash, there's MLA, there's so many QBanks, right? How do you get through two? What do you think is the biggest mistakes IMGs or even students that fail or barely pass? What are you doing wrong? How can they go through a whole QBank? I mean, we're talking about 3,000.
3,000, that's crazy, man.
What do you think is the biggest problem? Like, let's talk about that.
I just feel like it's the quality of the review. Yes, I understand that. I don't want you to get bogged down in things, but be pragmatic, be practical as to what you'll get. You are the best judge of these things. You, the individual, you're not trying to do a QBank to please anybody or to say, oh yeah, bragging rights, I did 5 QBanks. That's not, nobody cares about that. People care about your scores. You get what I mean? It's not a bragging right thing. So you then have to see, I'm doing this QBank. Am I really getting anything from this system that I'm using? If I'm not, then I have to rethink it. So I just think the quality of the review is probably what is most important. The quality of the QBank experience. And it's not about doing it. I don't think doing a QBank twice is really the thing. I would rather prefer to do a QBank once and do my incorrect and say, you know what, I'm good. Because there's a reason why I got those questions wrong. Because there's a knowledge gap there. So I'd like to at least cement that, to the best of my ability before I move on, as opposed to saying I did it twice. It doesn't mean anything to me, and I'm sure it doesn't mean anything to you either. It's about the quality. I'll just that's something people have to really, really, be careful of.
That's amazing. I like the fact you keep talking about fixing your knowledge gaps.
Yeah.
You can do as many questions as opposed to cement what you know and what you don't know. And it's a learning tool. And I preach this gospel every day. Question bank is a learning tool. It's not just a question. I think the misnomer, if maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, is students, because in medical school we memorize questions for exams and show up. That's just the truth, right? Some of these professors literally recycle the same exam
from like 10 years
ago. And we all know the answers, and so we think it translates to the boards. And I think that's where the mania over knowing the answers to MBMEs. And I keep telling them, guys, it's an assessment test. You don't care to know what the answer is. They're not going to show up on the USMLE.
Nobody cares, man. It's do you know the concept? Will you be able to interpret that concept in the 5? Okay, I took a master's after I finished medical school in health professions education. So one of the first year in that program, what we did was assessment and accreditation. So we went really into the science of assessment, the science of writing questions, testing knowledge, testing skill, testing capabilities, and you realize that if there's a committee of people writing the question for that particular concept, the concept is usually very clear. Can a student confidently diagnose this disease, treat it, understand the complications, blah, blah, blah. The concept is usually clear. But under that one concept, there can be 500 questions written on that one concept alone. And why do you think the USMLE is so expensive? is because they invest so much into developing these materials. And they not only develop it, they also do some psychometrics on these questions to say, is this really testing what we want them to know? So one concept comes in so many different variants. So you memorize the answer, good luck to you, because there's 700 versions of that one question that has a complete different set of options, completely different stem. And that's the truth. That is really the truth. It's about the concept. They want you, their question starting off is, will a student be able to confidently diagnose, treat, understand the complications of this disease? That is one concept. And then they just go to town with the different question variants of that.
Wow. Let's how many interviews did you get for residency?
I got, 3, to be honest, but the time when I did the first one, I just signed the contract and I was like, you know what, guys? Adios, I'm good here.
All you probably need is actually just one. So
yeah, really. Yeah. And honestly, the reason in my case, I thought it was primarily the fact that I didn't have an ECFMG certificate at the time. I didn't even read my step 2 CS, and that kind of mostly works for American grads. For foreign grads, ECFMG is a big. I mean, the certificate is usually like a screening tool to weed people out for the people that are going to get interviewed, regardless of your scores. And I also applied late. I applied, I think, in November, if I'm not wrong. Wow. So it was pretty late. Yeah. So please. So if we transition from the US Military Talk to interview stuff, particularly now, and I'm sure a lot of guys some of the guys that listen here already have their applications and everything set up. Guys, the day the application season opens, the day you'll be allowed to submit your applications, this day you want to submit your applications. Because a lot of programs are not that sophisticated in terms of waiting and repositioning the applicant pool depending on the scores and the fancy or whatever. It will come in a bulk. And if they say they're reviewing the stuff today, there is a high chance that the people that they will fill their interview spots with are the first applications they see, assuming everybody has similar criteria as you. So don't waste any time. The first day that I think is going to be October something this year, that is the day you should be submitting your application. Get everything ready right now. Your letter of recommendations, your personal statement, everything. The day that application thing opens up, submit your application. And that's a big deal. I felt like I submitted too late, and even I might have had competitive scores, but the interview slots were filled. What was I going to do? I was going to create new ones. And that's something you have to keep in mind.
How many programs did you apply to?
Because I wasn't that optimistic, so I applied to very few programs. I applied to maybe about 12 or 13 programs.
Oh, wow.
Because
you didn't have ECFMG and you did
So I felt like, what, I should just take it easy, and it was just going to be what it was, I guess, at that time.
So that's a good point you just mentioned, because sometimes I think for IMGs especially, guys, you guys are preparing for step 1 and step 2 CK. CS is canceled right now.
Yeah.
You should be thinking about your personal statement and writing.
Yeah.
Put in a Word document and stop putting it together. When you get your little breaks, because I like the concept of your mindset about this is a global phenomenon. You're competing. Yeah. Sometimes we all kind of into ourselves, like, oh my God, I'm kind of stuck for boards, right?
It's a reality, right? It's
37,000 people in the stadium. Like NBA arena is about 30,000, right? So that's the people you guys are going up against. Super crazy scores and things like that. So I think putting that in perspective, guys, really you think about, like, wow, I'm not just me in my little apartment.
You
know what I'm saying? Like, it really helps kind of put things in perspective, because sometimes you feel lonely, right? Because like you study by, I mean, when you're studying your room in an apartment, you feel lonely. But the truth of it is, there's 50,000 people out there doing
the same thing, trying to get that same residency slot that you're trying to get as well. So it's good to have that in mind.
Wow. You know, we're gonna wrap it up with just what's your you went through residence for 3 years, a hospitalist now, right? Tell the students, like, you know, just a little brief, like, okay, how residency was, now what your life feels like right now that you're done.
Yeah, so residency was challenging for me, especially in my first year, because I didn't see what life was, you know, before coming, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will probably be in the same position. But one of the things that was super useful for me was the ability to humble myself and learn from as many people. I'm telling you, the amount of things I learned from just eavesdropping on the nurses talking about what orders they got and what this doctor said to do this, it was incredible. So I just knew, I didn't know nothing here. I knew my medicine, you know, the theory of it, but in practice, I was lacking big time, and the logistics and all of that. So I just put my ears on the ground, and I felt the first year was so crucial because I you know, what I always say is, as a first year intern, do not let any aspect of your patient care be decided outside of you, because you're just as responsible. If you involve yourself in all of the aspects of the patient care, from specialist conversations to social issues to all of that, it will reduce the amount of learning you will have to, not learning, it would reduce the amount of, you know, adjustments you'd have to make in the subsequent years. And that's one thing I felt I tried to do in my first year. So when I was in my second year, it just opened the room for me to just focus on learning my medicine, you know, focus on learning and, you know, advancing in the complexity of the cases that I was dealing with. So I think it was much better in my second and third year. I knew I wasn't going to specialize, you know, straight out of residency, because I wanted to sort out my visa issues. There's so much crap going on in America right now. It's not a reason for anybody to make that decision, but I guess everybody's different and you have to know what you want. I felt like I was going to be happy equally being a hospitalist, but I knew I could always do better. But at that time, I felt, you know, this is what my priorities were, and I was going to take care of that. God willing, I will figure out the next route after that. But you have to know what makes you happy. I've seen people who will not feel fulfilled until they're, you know, gastroenterologists, or until they're cardiologists, or until they're, you know, whatever specialty you want to pursue. So if you know that about yourself, start the work early, start the research, everything you need to do, the networking, everything you need to do to get into a competitive specialty, a subspecialty, start that early. But anyways, I knew I wasn't going to go into that. So I need to figure out my employment opportunities from early. I started my second year to look at positions. I actually signed my hospitalist contract in the end of my second year before I even got into third year. So I need 30. I was just chilling, man. All of the study time,
You just like to sign these early contracts, don't you?
Yeah, because I don't like to deal with stress. You like to lock in early. Right, I don't like to deal with. My third year was heaven and earth, man, because I nothing was going to phase me on the floors, because I always tell people there's three things that are going to happen on the floors. In any unit you're on, sadly, there'll be a cardiac arrest, there'll be hypotension, and there'll be respiratory failure. You're going to deal with all of that if you know what you're doing. You understand? And everything else kind of leads to that. If you have somebody with massive GI bleed, what you're trying to do is to prevent them from going to cardiac arrest with massive GI bleed. If you have somebody who's hypoxic, what you're going to try to prevent is to prevent them from needing intubation. You know, that's just how I thought. So I felt like nothing was going to faze me. So I thought that mindset kind of helped me get through it. And being an attendant is very different. It's a whole new level of learning, and it's a lot of adjustment. But if you channel and nurture the doctor inside of you from residency, that doctor will come and save you as an attendant as well. So that's how I see it, and I can't be more grateful. And thank you so much, Dr. Adesina, for this opportunity as well.
Wow, I am so proud of you. You have no idea.
Thank you so much, brother.
Somebody asked a question. How did you come to a decision to do internal medicine versus other branches of medicine? That was some
Oh,
time.
okay. All right. So I thought about surgery, but I had to be, realistic with myself. Obviously, being an IMG was more competitive to get into surgery. It wasn't like it wasn't possible. I thought I had okay scores to try to fight in that regard. But I also knew for myself that I like to teach, and I like the complexity of internal medicine, that it runs through literally all parts of medicine without leaving anything out. And to give myself a better satisfaction to being able to teach what I practice, I thought internal medicine was going to be the thing for me. And that really was one of the main reasons why I chose it. Because it's literally, there's some specialties that does that for you. Internal medicine, emergency medicine, I think family medicine, to the best part, also does that for you.
Chukwudi is asking, how did you prepare for your interview? And you guys can ask your questions now before
Yeah. So my interviews, I just, if you know anybody in the program you're interviewing, just try to ask what the program prioritizes, and, try to, understand that when you're answering your questions. It's just the way the game is played, because people want people who they're able to work with. And if you understand what the program prioritizes, it's easy to prepare yourself for that. But on the other hand, I just was going to be myself, to be honest with you. I was going to go there, tell my story. If I was fortunate, they're going to like it. And again, the decisions were not entirely made on the interview days. Obviously, your entire profile does a lot, to make that decision easy for them. But what most people really want on the interview day is somebody who they can work with, and you have to present yourself as somebody like that, And it starts from you just doing that work in your head, and when you go, it just feels natural.
It sounds like you have an extrovert personality. Now, some people are not. I mean, you're from Lagos. So if you guys are, you're from Lagos, you're not gonna survive being an introvert. But
yeah.
Did you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna ask. I'll add what I need to add when you.
Did you practice? So, because I would strongly recommend either taking a course or meeting with someone who will, you're doing an interview one-on-one with, to try to mimic interview situation, memorize questions and answers. Before walking into the door.
Absolutely, guys. Listen, you have to use all of the arsenals, all of the tools in your arsenal. If you feel like you're lacking in any aspect of interviewing, you have to go and fix that. And this is just being humble and understand. I was gonna say three things, about my general approach to everything.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say it because I know we have to round up. One thing, work with what you have. Go from where you are. Whatever your weaknesses are, go and fix it. Whatever your strengths are, amplify them. And you have a great deal of self-awareness. So if I was an introvert, if I wasn't the kind of person that was, very okay with talking and sparking up conversations, I was going to go and fix that. You get what I mean? And everybody has to understand that about themselves and get all the help they need to get stuff done, because you just need to make this and, succeed in this path,
We get one shot, right?
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah.
Abdul Karim asks, do you think 3 years of residency has prepared you enough for unsupervised care as an attendant?
Hell yeah. I tell my wife all the time that, God bless the guys that decided that, in America, nobody was going to be licensed to practice medicine without residency. Because I genuinely feel that I would have just quit medicine if I had to go from medical school to being an attendant, because residency just takes you through. Everything is still a learning process, but residency just shapes you and presents you and say, you know what, I think you can manage on your own. So no doubt, 1000% residency does that magic, right? And you also have to apply yourself in residency to prepare yourself to eventually be able to handle the responsibilities of an attendant as well.
I did 3 years of emergency medicine residency.
Yeah.
In 3 years, what you guys don't understand is working 70, 80, 90 hours.
Yeah.
it will mold you into an individual that you have never become before.
I swear to you, man. Nobody will understand until you pass through that person. But just believe it as we say it, that it will change. It will form you. It will. You know the days where you're like, how am I supposed to solve these 20 different complex problems in front of me as a human being?
30 pages.
you literally
30 pages on the list, right? And you're like, and you know everything about that patient.
Yeah. Anyways,
somebody said, well, when did you start getting? Okay, I'm sorry. Frederica's asked, when did you start getting comfortable with medication dosages?
So medication dosages, you just have to learn it as you go, because USMLE obviously doesn't test that. And as you, again, then countless times the nurses told me, doctor, that dose is not what we normally give. Oh, really? They're going to check Medscape. It's just a learning process, I'm telling you.
It's like,
so
you have to that dose.
Yeah, you have to be humble enough to learn from any. So my first year, I was just picking up on the usual doses, and I used Medscape a lot. I thought just the way they do it in Medscape was very easy for me to learn. I'm up to date, obviously. And if up to date is telling you this is the dose, that's the dose, because obviously they research it before they put it in there. So I don't have to crack my head over nothing really if it tells me.
So for some of you guys who are, with regards to medication dosages, it's kind of like it's gonna evolve over time, right?
Yeah.
Because we give the same drugs all the time. Of course, if you have to give desmopressin, trust me. Right? If you need to give like some crazy drug that like icantibant or something like that you've never given before, you're gonna
looking it up.
You're gonna give the same thing. If you're treating atrial fibrillation with RVR, okay, it's gonna be partisan, but you're gonna memorize and know them with time. And the more you use the drugs, you get used to it. So
I wouldn't ask anyone to worry about that really.
Yeah. So
there's a reason why the USMLE doesn't test that, because they know most people will do fine with it regardless.
Yeah, you guys will be fine. So here's Abdul Karim say, how were you able to balance out work and study time during residency?
Oh my God, that was the biggest challenge. But again, I always go with this rule: the basic minimum is better than the very scarce maximum. So just figure out the basic you can do daily and try to be religious about it. If it's 30 minutes you can afford in a day, just focus on meeting that 30 minutes, as opposed to thinking I'm going to go all out and do 2 hours every day, and you do it once a month. So basic minimum, I would say, is what works overall, I think, in my experience. Yeah.
Did you take step 3?
I did step 3 my second year. I wouldn't advise that because it just distracts from the process of residency. People say being a resident makes it easier. Maybe. I still think without residency, you're going to do well, regardless if you study and apply yourself. So don't let it get into stressing your residency. Take it before you start and get it over, get it out of the way. That's my advice. Yeah,
that's a good advice because for most US grads, we take step 3 after intern year. For IMG especially, like you're special, right? You got top-notch scores in step 1 and step 2, knocked out your CSO. Kind of position yourself a little bit in a different, unique situation. But I always say, like, if your step 1 and 2 are not that great, you're gonna try to find a score to weed you out. So you haven't taken step 3 yet, so just take it.
Just take it.
But wow, you've been amazing. Let me make sure, this is absolutely awesome. Oh, somebody's asking one more. This is gonna be the final question, guys. How were you able to? So, what were your thoughts about this season, having in mind the particularities of this season due to COVID-19? Like, just like every one of us in medicine right now.
It's obviously has its challenges, but you have to work with the peculiarities of this season. I think interviews some of them might be virtual. I think a lot of them probably will be virtual. Just do your research. Have a game plan, figure out how that might. Nobody knows because it hasn't happened before. So I probably won't be able to tell you any secrets or anything like that. But be practical and be strategic in the way you'd approach it.
So that's actually a good point. So most, like you said, most interviews this year is probably going to be virtual because of COVID,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is a perfect opportunity for you guys if you're applying,
Yeah.
because we're doing exactly what they're going to be doing to you as we're having
Absolutely.
this conversation on Zoom right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
were you
Yeah.
guys, Zoom is free for 40
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah.
and get one of your friends,
Yeah.
or Dr. Nina Loom. She
Yeah.
has a IMG review course. She's one
Yeah.
of our partners. There are programs out there where practice virtual interview.
Yeah. No
It's
doubt.
different.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
Like, wear your suit and your tie. Just, guys, you might think this is crazy. Did you know that even for my wife, when she goes for interviews, she's a pharmacist.
Yeah.
I will make her sit down, dress up. I see we're going for an interview, and we'll sit down in the living room, and I will start grinding her, asking her questions. I remember when she was applying, and I'm like, "You're not making eye contact. Why are you saying like you're not articulate. You're not. You don't have complete sentences. Like, And she's like, I was saying that. I'm like, yes, you are. And they are constructive feedback. So for you guys, I want you guys to start doing that now. If you're applying this year, make sure someone who's going to be honest with you. Not somebody's going to tell you you're doing great. That's not going to help you at all. Like, get that one-on-one feedback from somebody who, like, you know what? I didn't like the answer you gave her. Like, why you're choosing medicine. Like, and I think that's a game changer, because
it is.
They're going to be assessing you based on a Zoom conversation.
No doubt.
Honestly, I just think
I completely agree with that, because you never know what your body language is, what the way you respond to questions until somebody tells you that that's what you're doing. Nobody has that humility to see themselves in that way, and you want to put that in front of you and understand that before you go to the interview. So definitely, whatever chance you get to practice, just go ahead and do as many practices as you can.
Wow, there's so much to cover, but you have done so much for us. I love it. I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're amazing, man. Like, because this is the stories. Like, people say, oh, this is hard, and I'm like, it's supposed to be hard, right?
It is.
You didn't have a visa, right? You didn't even get a chance to get your ECFMG certification, right? Here you are, just trying to make ends meet, tutoring on the island by yourself. You came to America, you didn't even know anybody.
I didn't know nobody, right? Man. Nobody, bro.
Network. Like, you went, somebody gave you a suggestion, go to this conference. Guys, listen, every opportunity you get to put yourself in front of somebody will help you. It's what's going to catapult you to success. And that's one of the secrets I share with everybody all the time. Like, people will call me on the phone, and I'm like, only if you understand the value that you can call me as an attendant and get on the phone with me. Like, I so scared to be able to call somebody who's on the phone. Wait till you get to residency. When you're on call at night, you'll be pissing in your pants
to call.
You're like, I don't want to wake up and be attending.
2 a.m.
Yeah. And you're like talking to your chief resident and the fellow who's supposed to be up, because if they have to call the attendant, it is bad. It's bad for you. It's bad for the patient. It's bad for everybody. If the guy's waking up from his Eiffel Tower, coming from the room to come down to the ICU, it is bad.
That's bad.
I knew the fear of God that was in me, that I dare not even page them. Right? Like, you call the fellow, like, so much hierarchy that you have to. So when I try to explain to people, like, when I run a program like this, and you get an opportunity to talk to me, and I'm like, understand the value of acting.
Yeah, please. They have to.
Normal.
They have to. That is not normal at all. At all. Yep.
But we do it for the love of the game.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oluyadi. I know you're very, very busy. Can you tell them your Instagram handle so people can reach out?
My Instagram handle is FataiMD_. FATAIMD_. Once you find it, once you see too much medicine, that has to be me for sure.
I'm putting your handle here for people who want to.
Excellent. I appreciate that.
Hey, listen, you have a blessed day. You are awesome. Listen, just keep saving those people's lives. Be careful out there. There's COVID-19.
Yeah, man.
We sacrifice so much being the front lines as first
Yeah,
responders.
yeah, man.
I just want to thank you. God bless your family.
You too, brother. Listen, thank you so much for all you do. Because I know this process, this game is not easy, man. You know, being a mirror for somebody like me, being an inspiration for somebody like me, and I'm sure countless many other people, you putting your head in the game, you know, by yourself, just dragging the ships and just dragging and dragging, regardless of how heavy it is. God bless you, brother. Seriously, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. I can't. I run out of words to say how much I appreciate what you do. Really.
I appreciate it. Listen, we are on a vision to my vision is to train 150,000 IMGs.
Yeah,
Be
man.
a better doctor because I refuse to let the status quo determine. And there's so many people that are falling by the wayside every year. Nobody talks about it. That's this little
Wow.
dark side of
Wow.
medicine. Right? They're
Wow.
getting
Wow.
into Caribbean schools. They are coming from their country to America, and people are telling them you can't do this. Like everybody's saying it's impossible. And to me, I said, listen, why are you listening to them? Like, you have to be so focused, like you said. You were so focused, like laser focused, like
Yeah.
it was all or nothing, like an action potential.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Oh my God, definitely, brother. I mean, seriously, I do appreciate you a lot, and God bless you and your family as well.
All right, you take care. You have a great day, guys. You guys stay around. I've got a special announcement.
All right, then.
Dr. Fatai, you have an
Bye,
awesome.
bro. All right. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes.
Guys, what do you guys think about that? Like, put some comments inside there. I kind of just want to hear what you think. Like, Dr. Fatai just literally just dropped some amazing nuggets for all of us today. I mean, I love this interaction. I love to hear the stories. And I hope their stories are motivating you. I hope their stories are showing you the relentlessness, the focus, the discipline, and the mistakes that all these IMGs that literally are in your shoes or worse have gone through, right? They, sometimes, you might feel like my story is bad, but we've had people come here who has been out of residency for 13 years, failed step 1 like 3 times or step 2 3 times. Somebody's asking, is this yeah, that's the Instagram, Marco. His Instagram is Fatai MD_. So I just put that. Let me put that in there for you guys again. And the world is just full of so much negativity, right? There's just so much negative energy out there, and I refuse, right? I refuse to let that determine the course of your life. I refuse to let that determine how I live my life. It is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Having an MD or DO behind your name, it's not just those 2 letters. It comes with the weight of the world, right? And patience, your families, your patients are waiting for you. On the other side, an unborn child who's still in the womb of their mother is waiting for you to become an OBGYN, to come and deliver that baby. And when that baby has shoulder dystocia, or that patient has like a placenta abruption, or that patient has, like a complicated pregnancy, a subchorionic hemorrhage, you recognize that. Okay, that's the reason why we do this, right? That when you walk into the room, you got your white coat and your stethoscope around your neck with that confidence, with the knowledge in your brain, and you walk into the room and a pregnant woman is saying, I'm having vaginal bleeding, and you scan and you see bleeding. You say, this patient is having hemorrhagic shock. I need to give blood. We need to deliver this baby stat, right? The patient is going through D-cell. You better be recognizing that, because now you can lose the mother and the baby, because you fail to recognize that. So if you think pinky answers on a question bank is just the solution to the problem, that is just the beginning. You're learning for life. You're learning to be a doctor. Be proud of it. It's not going to be easy. If it was easy, everybody will be doing it. That's why they're not. That's why they didn't make it. But if you're here, you're far deep into the game this way, listen, the road is rough. It's hard. It's difficult. But it will shape you from a layman person, right, to a physician. And your fingers, your hands, your eyes, your nose, right, your senses, they will be able to pick up things that the average human being does not, because of the knowledge inside your brain. I tell you guys all the time, the mind, which is your brain, your hippocampus, does not recognize what your eyes, I'm sorry, yeah, your eyes doesn't recognize what your mind does not see. I can't say that hard enough. This eyes that you use to observe every day, it will never recognize anything your mind does not see. So if your mind is not filled with knowledge, if it's not stacked the deck so high so that you know the information code, right? You will not be able to recognize pathologists. They will literally be sitting in front of you. They'll be telling you their signs and symptoms and you'll be blank. This is really honestly why I have this Smash USMLE you see here, Mike. That is the only reason I'm doing this, okay? I want you to remember that every day. I am doing this because one day, and I promise you, you may not believe me right now. Wait till you start residency. Wait till you're seeing real patients, right? You may come from another country and you've never taken care of Americans before, but wait till you walk in the first day of residency and this patient starts to tell you their chief complaints. And you start to see all this stuff that you saw in step 1 and step 2 CK and step 3 and in the board review books. And you're like, OMG, this is as real as it gets. And now it's your turn. What are you going to do? Those are the 4 words, I hope I say 4 or 5, that people are going to ask you. And that's what it boils down to, guys. So please, please don't miss the big picture. Now, I wanted to introduce you guys, for some of you who didn't know. So for 10 years, I've been teaching USMLE prep, and I this book. This is my first book. When I was a third year medical student, that was back in 2010. So it's been 10 years now that this book was published. And, you know, I was actually literally, you know, a third year back then, wrote out a study for step 1. And now I'm an attending, 5 years in the game and teaching USMLE prep. And I wanted to bring all my knowledge with the help of other people who have done super high and done well in the USMLE. So I decided to update the book. And I wanted to show you guys, for some of you who don't know, because, you know, we do this webinar every month. I have just recently released the USMLE and Complex Success Secrets book. I'll have to call this one of my best masterpieces, all right? Took me 10 years of work to put in as much information. I wanted, whether you're a US medical student, IMG, whether you're a DO student, because I'm a hybrid, like I always call myself a hybrid. I went to an osteopathic school. I took USMLE step 1, step 2 CK. I took step 3. I took all my complex exams, right? Taking all my written and oral board review. So I get to teach IMGs. I teach DO students. I know about osteopathic medicine. I know about allopathic medicine. I did an allopathic residency. So I'm a hybrid of the whole system because I pretty much done it all. So with my team, Dr. Wanchango was my co-author, and Dr. Farouk Taha, and also multiple contributors. I can't even continue to name them. They're all inside the book. We launched this new book. It's on Amazon right now. You can get it for just $19.95. Go to Amazon.com, go and type in USMLE and Complex Success Secrets, or you can just type my name and the book will come up. You can get the Kindle version for only $9.99. And it's amazing. I'm telling you, I shared everything. I didn't hold anything back. I put all my knowledge over the last 10 years of USMLE prep, from how IMGs need to get into residency, the roadmap, like step by step, how to prepare for interviews, questions, all the questions they typically ask in interviews is all in the book. Like literally, you don't even have to go anywhere. Open the book up and start, you know, chugging through all those questions, all the mistakes students make, how to use question bank, how to dissect questions. I can go on it. The book is 300 pages long, just to kind of give you an idea, 300 pages. Took 10 years to write. I want you to go get a copy right now, okay? It's on Amazon, $19.95 paperback, Kindle version in $19.99. Literally, I want you guys to go get a copy, have it in there. Listen, as you're going through your prep for step 1, step 2 CK, step 3, just go to the section that you need, you know, digest the material, highlight it, and listen, it's going to change your life. I'm giving it away. Like, I mean, you need to check it out. Now, you know, that's what it looks like on Amazon. Like, you know, I'm just already shipping it out for you guys. So make sure you go get a copy today. Get you can get the Kindle if you have a Kindle, and you know, if you want the paperback and so you want to keep in your pocket or kind of keep in your house, get that also. So let me ask you a question. Do you have faith, right? You know, some of you are like, you know, I've been seeing your videos on YouTube, maybe you're like on Instagram, and you know, I'm watching your webinar. Somebody invited me to this webinar. I've never, you know, I'm using Kaplan, I'm using all the programs, but you know, what's special about Smash USMLE? Listen, this is where we dedicate all our energy to make sure you are successful. And you can ask every student, you know, some of the students that are already in the program, you guys can keep comments about what we do here. You guys probably notice I'm so passionate about this. I wake up every day looking for the next doctor that I'm going to make his life better. I'm looking for the next IMG, the next student, the next medical student. So I'm going to change your life, because it gives me the most ultimate joy when I get a video testimonial like this from a student who was crying in their house, failed step 1, and they've been written up by their medical school, or nobody's helping them and they're struggling. And they sent me this kind of video because they went through our course. Let's listen to Taylor's story.
Hey there, my name's Taylor and I just passed step 1. Yay. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my journey. I'm currently a 4th year medical student and I went through Trinity School of Medicine on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Coming from the island to the States was kind of a difficult transition. You're away from your school base, and I started studying for step 1 on my own, and unfortunately did not pass the first time around, which was incredibly devastating and discouraging at the time. So I knew the second time around, I needed a different approach. I've been an athlete my whole life, have had some amazing coaches, so I needed to find a coach and a personalized program. I'm also very financially conscious, so I also needed a program that kind of fit in my budget and a program where I get the most bang for my buck. So I was actually watching an ad of Dr. Adesina, and I felt like he was speaking directly to me because he was talking about somebody in my situation who had a fail and was very hopeful that, with hard work, I could rewrite my own story and use it to my advantage, that I overcame something. So that gave me a lot of hope. And I took his program into consideration and compared it price-wise against other programs, price and effectiveness. And it seemed like Smash USMLE was going to be a good fit for me. So I was paired with a tutor, and my tutor was amazing. We met once a week, every week leading up to my exam, and he completely made a personalized program just for me in my schedule. I love to work out every day, so we definitely incorporated things that I love to do to make studying enjoyable, but also made it really effective for me. And every week we would make adjustments, what was working, what was not. We'd go over questions, we'd go over test taking strategy. I really felt like I got a lot of bang for my buck. He provided me a lot of material, were really helpful. So I felt like I was studying very efficiently and had a good time with my tutor. He actually became a really good friend. So he was very encouraging, would check in, and even leading up to my test, Dr. Adesina reached out personally, which I thought was awesome, and gave me some really encouraging words. And after I had taken my test and passed, he had a lot of kind things to say as well. So it was awesome to see his involvement in the program. There's a WhatsApp group that talks about questions and just different things surrounding, the USMLEs and residency match. So it was really helpful to be connected to that whole community. And honestly, everything that I learned leading up for step 1, I'm taking into step 2 and will also help me with step 3. So I really feel like I got the most bang for my buck and just had a really enjoyable experience studying for one of the biggest tests of my life. So if you're on the fence about it, give it a try. Work with one of the tutors. I promise it's such a good investment. Go for it and good luck.
Congratulations to Taylor. That is one of the stories that we get here in our program. There's countless thousands of students that come through the course. But for some of you, if you don't know how Smash USMLE review work, our goal here is to train you to become a better physician. All right. Let me tell you how our program works. We have 2 plans. We offer 2 USMLE step 1 or step 2 CK courses. We have a 4-week live hybrid USMLE step 1 or step 2 CK masterclass. It comes with the self-paced course, and it's like a lifetime package. Or we also have the self-paced online USMLE step 1 and step 2 CK course, which basically has the masterclass pre-recorded lectures. That is where you get it a 3 months or 6 months or a lifetime package. Now, you learn with us with our proprietary Smart MD training program, right? So you probably say, what's Smart MD? Well, that's how we train you to become a good physician here. We have a complete structure, and that's proven to work. So strategy, which is S, is where we teach you how to prepare for the USMLE. How do you study daily with your schedule, right? Dr. Fatai also talked about that. Like, he has blocks. Then we teach you how to dissect these USMLE questions. There's a secret strategy that they don't teach you in medical school. People don't even talk about it online, right? I put it in the book also. But our coaches are going to spend a lot of time explaining that to you so you understand how to attack USMLE questions. And then we go to M, which is mastery of clinical concepts, right? Where we use our USMLE lecture videos to teach you high yield review concepts for step 1 or step 2 CK, even step 3. And then we have assessment of your clinical knowledge, which is A, is where we provide you thousands of USMLE practice questions to help you basically reinforce all the knowledge that you're already learning from our mastery of clinical content video. Then finally, we give you a rapid review where we teach you with flashcards to do rapid recall when you're studying for boards. And finally is T, which is test taking skills, right? This is where we teach you how to avoid the mistakes on the actual exam. You know, most students will walk into the exam and they don't even know all the things they're supposed to do before the day of the exam. We're going to give you all those resources on how to get ready for the test day. How do you know when you're actually ready to take the USMLE and before you even walk into the exam? Also, we give you all the secrets away and makes your life 10x easier. So step 1, you're going to check your email when you sign up for our program. You're going to fill out your coaching application form. And once you fill it out, you're going to book your first personal coaching call within 48 hours. If you sign up for our 3-month package, you get 1 hour free coaching. If you sign up for 6 months, it's 2 hours of free coaching and 4 hours of coaching if you actually buy our lifetime plan. Your USMLE coach will contact you for your first discovery call on Skype. They're going to meet with you one-on-one. We're the only program in the country that does this, right? Literally, before you even start the program, you meet with our coaches for free, okay? And this is step 2. You literally meet with coach on Skype, and your coach will help you with the following. They're going to help you review your MBME score report. They're going to help you set your target score and determine your strong and weak areas on the USMLE. They will get a detailed self-assessment profile report about you and teach you the correct strategies on how to study for the USMLE exam. They will now help you create a complete personalized study schedule based on your resources. We even give you an actionable plan for future meetings and then follow up with you to monitor your progress throughout the entire program. Then we use your future MBME score report to recommend changes to your USMLE study schedules as needed. Now, step 3, then you join our Smart MD WhatsApp group. I am so proud of this group. It is one of the best groups you can ever be on the planet, right? This is a community where, we help you grow. Now, you're going to check your first email and you're going to click that special link to join our VIP Smart MD WhatsApp group, okay? Here's what you're going to get. We post daily USMLE questions of the day to challenge your USMLE knowledge. You also get our daily answers and explanations for those USMLE questions. We give you 24/7 support to answer any USMLE related questions you may have. And then you also join our network where we have a USMLE study buddy. And we actually have one of our students, Antoinette, organizes this hump day, which goes on every Wednesday. And usually for like 2 hours, you can come online while you're studying for boards, take a break and bring all your questions to a group of students and they will answer your question for you. Sometimes we have about 20, 25 students all together studying, just kind of like, it's like, if you have any questions, you just ask during the group. And then you also access to our monthly private USMLE webinars. So, if you're on YouTube right now, you're watching this is because you're not part of the Smart MD WhatsApp group, because they get direct link to actually register to join our sessions from the Zoom link that we usually send out. And this is only to private students who've already joined the course. Then we give you up-to-date USMLE and residency information. Like as things are hitting the floor, we're telling you what's going on, what you need to do to make changes and adjust so you can maximize your chances of getting to residency. More or less, you actually get access to me where I give you motivational videos to help you push you. Listen, if you ever feel depressed and anxious, like if you don't feel like studying, and here you go, I'm going to pop a video inside the WhatsApp group to kind of motivate you and push you. All right. So you can study even more to get the most out of you. Okay. And then you get access to me and my team because we're here to support you to succeed on the USMLE. Now, step number 4, you're going to start learning about our Smart MD training course. So after your discovery coaching call, you're gonna watch our Smart MD training course at smashuSMLE.com. You're gonna learn how to study the right way for the USMLE with our Smart MD course. And these are basically where you watch short series of videos that to give you the correct strategies to study for the USMLE. You're gonna learn to understand clinical vignettes for the USMLE and learn how to start your pre-dedicated or pre-intensive or dedicated studies period. And you're gonna also learn how to dissect USMLE questions. Also, you're gonna learn how to how to use your first aid for the USMLE Step 1 and Yale G First Aid Crush USMLE Step 2 CK Step 3 books, which we actually give you a free copy of the Yale G book in our program. And now you've passed the S phase, right? That's our strategy phase. Now we're moving on to mastery, right? During the mastery of clinical knowledge is our self-paced course, right? This is where I'm going to teach you the correct strategies on how to master the concepts you see in first aid. You probably heard Dr. Fatai talking about how you watch a lot of my videos. You're absolutely right. Those videos are available on smashusmle.com, and you guys actually have access to over 700 videos of content. We've covered 99% of what's in first aid. All right. The videos are so easy. I got this text message from one of our students that says, I totally agree with you, Dr. Adeshina. One of the greatest things you've done in your smashusmle.com video is breaking down the concepts in such a way that even a layman on the street will understand these medical jargons. All right. That's how easy your life is because these videos are so simple to understand. They're whiteboard based. And let's say you're even studying for the urea cycle. Here's your first aid, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and learn about urea cycle because I don't understand this pathway. You go on the website, you click on the link. It's about a 16-minute video. You can increase the speed to 2 times the speed of the video and kind of cut it down to 8 minutes. And then boom, you're done. Now, not only that, we give you references to every year, the latest edition of first aid. So it kind of matches what section of first aid you guys are studying from. If you're studying from Step 2 CK, let's say you're studying general surgery, you go to general surgery, for example, you go to thoracic trauma, it's about a 19-minute video. We're going to give you the latest edition. This is the 5th edition. Now we're shipping out the 6th edition to our students. If you're already in the course and you're part of our Step 2 CK course and you have not gotten a free copy, make sure you email us at admin@smashusmle.com and we'll make sure we mail out a free copy to you. All right. So there you go. You can get access on our website. All right. Now let's talk about the 4-week live hybrid USMLE masterclass. Listen, this is a 4-week live hybrid masterclass that holds. It's a masterclass that you have never seen before. Students are raving about. They give you a 5-star review because what I did is I condensed all the knowledge right from Step 1 into clinical vignettes. And imagine going through the UWorld QBank or using a Smash USMLE QBank, and somebody's actually narrating those questions and breaking down the concepts and explaining them to you and then integrating into other parts of everything you need to know with other systems. It's mind blowing. Oh my gosh, I can't even, you need to see it. You need to check it out to even see what I'm talking about. We hold classes from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern time every day. It's usually for 31 days, all right? You'll be learning online. We'll be covering all the high yield concepts for Step 1 and mixed with Step 2 CK content. We're covering cardio, endocrine, GI, neuro, renal, repro. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? And at the end of class, you get instant access to the video and audio lectures, usually by around 11 p.m. at night. And you have to complete a quiz at the end of class. So you basically come to class, you can ask questions. Our moderator going to be there, answer all your questions. And you complete by the end of 31 days, you've done about 1,200 USMLE questions. It's amazing. It's intense. It's lovely. You're going to love it. You're going to be like, oh my gosh. And then at the end of the course, you still get access to those lecture videos. We always give you access. So don't worry. After 4 weeks, you now have all the time to review them as much times as you want. Plus you get access to all the self-paced reviews. So, and at the end, you get a certificate of completion. So if you're currently in medical school and you need access or you need to show your Caribbean Medical School and say, hey, listen, I have my certificate that I've actually did a 4-week review course with Smash USMLE, definitely you get to print it out and send it to your school. Plus, you can check out a sample of our masterclass at smashusmlereviews.com, smashusmlereviews.com. You can basically go there right now and check it out. That's where our 4-week live hybrid masterclass course is. Now, you get access to our masterclass videos. You get the notes. You get the audio lectures. Practice daily USMLE quiz questions, okay? And then we give you all our lecture notes, all right? And here we finally now move to assessing your clinical knowledge, right? You've learned from the videos. That's not enough, right? Let's test your knowledge on what you actually know and what you don't know. That's why we introduce our question bank for Step 1 and Step 2 CK. Whichever plan you get, you're going to get access to either Step 1 questions or Step 2 CK questions. And you're going to learn from our USMLE library and test all your knowledge. These questions are written by our top USMLE question bank physician expert. And finally, we give you close to, actually, now we just updated our flashcard last week. We have about 10,000 step one flashcard questions and 1,000 step two CK questions, basically Q&A, basically in the flashcard format for you to reinforce the concept as you study. And finally, T is for test day taking strategy. You're gonna learn about exam day ritual. This was a 2.5-hour webinar that we did that I put together where you will learn the top 20 things that you must do before taking the USMLE exam from our Exam Day Secrets webinar. It also comes with a free ebook. This is amazing. Every of our students must watch this. They watch this before going to the exam hall. It's a nice little review at the end, the night before you go to take the USMLE, and it will save your life, even give you some extra baby points on the board. Now, we have a 97% pass rate on the USMLE. Do you know why? It's because we work with you till you hit your target score. So when students call our program and say, Dr. Addition, how come you have such a high success rate? Let me tell you the little secret that we do. None of our students are allowed to take the USMLE until they hit their target score. I have saved thousands of IMGs and med students, even in the US, a lot of pain and agony that before they take their USMLE, they've taken the MBME and they're scoring 180 or 185, and they're about to tell them, like, cancel your test. You're not ready to take the test. And guess what? We work with them, we get their score back up to the 220, 230, 240s, and now they're ready to take the exam. That's the reason for a high success. We are here, we're invested in you. You can go to UWorld, right? And you cannot call anybody in UWorld to say, I have a question. You have BNB, you can't call anybody, right? If you go to Kaplan after their 14 weeks, you're pretty much done, right? They let you go and you probably have to study on your own. We don't do that here. We're committed to your success all the way. You just need to buy into the program, put 120%, and you're going to be successful. Now, here's what you get with Smash USMLE Review course. If you're opting for the 4 weeks live hybrid USMLE Masterclass course, you're going to get the 19 subjects that we're going to cover for step 1 and step 2 CK. That's 90 hours worth $4,997 value. You also get access to our 1,200 USMLE step 1 practice quizzes. That has a value of $997. You get access to our Q Bank, 2,000 USMLE step 2 CK Q Bank. That's a $997 value. You get that Smart MD training course I initially talked about. It's $1997 value. Our USMLE step 1 schedule, we make your schedule for you, but we still also have a sample schedule for you to work with. That's a $97 value. You get our USMLE step 1 lecture notes, about 1,800 pages, $497 value. You get exclusive access to our VIP Smart MD WhatsApp group. It's a community, literally. Almost, I think we got close to 500 IMGs on the platform right now and other medical students. And literally, you feel like you're in a family, a support group. You're struggling with any questions, you can post into the group, and literally people in a couple of minutes can answer your questions for you. That's a $2,997 value. You get our daily USMLE study tips, which is a value of $997, 24/7 email support from our staff. And plus, in addition, you get our self-paced course where you now get all the dedicated video lectures that's covering all this content, 220 hours, step 1, step 2 CK video lectures. That's $497 value. Our 4,000 USMLE step 1 or step 2 CK Q Bank. That's $997 value. Our private coaching call with our coaching staff, another $1997 value. You get access to our USMLE prep audio books, which is $120 value. Remember, you get the Yale G First Aid Crush Step 2 CK Step 3 book. That's a $57 value. Literally, we're actually going to send you a free copy when you join the program, but it's normally $57 value. Instant access to high yield flashcards, which has a value of $297. You get out to prepare for USMLE ebook, $297 value. And I throw an additional bonus, which you get the USMLE audio master classes, right? Which you can get on our website, $997 value. The second bonus is that exam day ritual ebook, $97 value. You get also how to dissect USMLE questions to our webinar. That's $597 value. And finally, the bonus, which is the USMLE exam day 2-hour webinar, which is $297 value. That's a total just value alone of the 4-week live hybrid masterclass of $16,797. But listen, we're not going to charge you $16,000 for the whole course. All you need to pay right now to get started is to either get the 4-week live hybrid USMLE masterclass course or with the ultimate bundle plan for $997 for the lifetime access or 2 payments of $499, or you can get the self-paced online course with the masterclass lectures for $597 for 3 months only. For 6 months package is $797, and the lifetime plan is $997. You can go right now. I want you to go right now to smashusmle.com, buy the course. It's going to be best investment you've ever had in your life. Listen, let's say you don't want to pay a one-time fee. That's okay. You can get started with 2 easy payments of $299 for the 3 months plan. The 6 months plan is $399, 2 payments, and 2 easy payments of $499 for the lifetime access. Go right now to smashusmle.com to sign up. You can reach us at 212-465-3339. Anytime you can reach our customer service. Listen, let me ask you a question. Would you like to be like Monica? She came through our course, she found our ad, she came through a webinar like this, and she crushed the exam. Let's hear her story.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adolfo, and I'm a recent student of Dr. Adeshina's Smash USMLE course for Step 1. I recently took his course, and I have to honestly say, it was the best decision I could have ever made in my entire life. I mean, there's so many programs out there, and after a while, when you start to compare and contrast, they're pretty much the same. But I one day was on YouTube and I had hit rock bottom. I was getting tired of studying. I didn't feel like I was really getting things to the point where I'd be ready to take my exam. But I was on YouTube one day and I saw Dr. Adeshina's ad on on YouTube, and he reached out to me. It really caught my attention and I felt like he knew exactly where I was coming from. So I took the chance and I took one of his master classes. And I have to be honest, after that master class, I said to myself, where have these classes been? Where have they been all my entire life? After the class, I felt clarity. I understood concepts that I had been struggling with for a really long time. It was as if he took all my loose ends and started pulling them together. And I just became more involved and I started to want to watch more master classes. And from there on, I knew that I had found exactly what I needed. From then on, I took more classes. I took all of his classes and I took my exam and I passed. This was the first time where an instructor actually showed passion for teaching, someone who actually reached out, gave you personal coaching one-on-one, and also sent motivational videos to encourage you, especially at the moments when you almost want to give up. I have to say that Dr. Adeshina is someone who really enjoys teaching. He really enjoys making the impact that he has on students such as myself. And I just want to let you know that if you're contemplating taking his courses, I'm telling you, you need to go and sign up today. I'm just really happy that there's a program out there that actually works if you're willing to put in the work. So go ahead and sign up. I wish everyone the best of luck.
Congratulations to Monica. She killed the USMLE and she's a success story. But listen, let me ask you a question. Do you believe you can come back from failing this exam and passing again? Even if you fail 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, it doesn't matter how long. You've just been doing it the wrong way. Here's Damien. I remember Damien calling me. He said literally it was on a clinical rotation and they called him that he needs to leave the hospital right in the middle of his rotation because he failed the exam and the medical school pulled him out of his rotation. He was devastated, was angry, was upset. He called me, said he found my course and can I help him? And I said, we can help you. And guess what? I want you to listen to his story.
Hey guys, so my name is Damian Rowland. I'm a rising third-year medical student here in the South. And I just wanted to let you guys know that there's Kaplan out there, there's Princeton Review, there's so many other things you can probably use for step 1, step 2. But I use Smash USMLE for Dr. Adesina. And all I can say is I didn't pass my first time. I'm a living witness that success can happen. I use his website. Videos are great. He was also great. And the thing about it is you get a personal coach that's gonna walk you through everything, just how to take the test taking strategies, just that extra motivation that I felt like other companies just wanted you to have they want your money, you're a number, and that's it. But with Smash USMLE, you have videos, you have the personal connection with Dr. Dissina, and overall, you get that confidence that you can do it. And I feel like at the end of the day, pass on the second time it was great. And I just felt like I attributed that to his system. And if you do it, trust me, you will be successful. And the number one thing you get a personal coach that's going to be by your side throughout the whole entire process and beyond. He responds to you, he texts you, he calls you. That's personal. And this is all a personal thing. We all want to be physicians. So take it from me, buy the program. It's well money spent. It's an investment in your future. Trust me, and you won't regret it.
I am so proud of Damien. His amazing comeback story. He's back on his clinical rotation right now, and he's gonna do great. Going to take his step to CK in the next few months. But let me ask you a question: Do you believe in just hard work and realizing that so many people have gone through your journey? And here's Francisco. He was just another. It's another student that came through our program, worked hard, worked with us, our tutors. And now he's another success story. I mean, let's hear what his testimonial.
Hi, my name is Francisco Bermudez, and I am a third-year medical student out of University of Medicine and Health Sciences in St. Kitts. I'm here to talk about my journey and how I got to passing step 1. So it was a very tedious process. I was supposed to take my exam actually in March. But due to the pandemic, a bunch of testing centers, as many of you are aware of, were closed. So that delayed my process, and it was kind of frustrating because I was essentially studying about actually having a test date. And when the testing centers did finally open in June in my hometown in Puerto Rico, I was taking NBMEs at the time, and I was frustrated that, having been studying for 6 months already, that I was barely passing the MBMEs. I was getting 197. I was just barely getting by, and I didn't see that process. I didn't see that progress or that growth that I had wanted. Because when you study, I feel that it's important to have a goal in mind, know the score that you would like to obtain, in order to get into certain residencies. And I wasn't there. I wasn't satisfied. I was hungry. I was frustrated. And I started searching the internet to see, ways to improve, to get a tutor, or any program, just some guidance to put me in the right track. And I came across Smash USMLE, and I watched the videos that are offered in Smash USMLE. They're absolutely excellent. And I feel that the best thing that I did with the program was to religiously, once every 2 weeks, to meet with one of their tutors, Dr. Jeet. Dr. Jeet was excellent because for a long time I was studying ineffectively. I was just reading the first aid. I would take 2 or 3 hours a day to read sections of the first aid. I was just doing questions, but I wasn't really learning effectively. So I learned that the most effective way to actually, study is to, yes, do your blocks, do 1 or 2 blocks a day, but each question really dissect it. So that is, for even if you got the question right, why are the other questions wrong? How could the other answer choices have been converted, from wrong to incorrect? What was missing in the case stem, making the incorrect answers incorrect? And off of that, you make notes. So you make these Q&As, and you review it, review. And I feel that that was the most effective tool. Also, some side tips on how to attack a question. Read the last sentence, then you build the story. From the first sentence that you see, you build the story along, and it was just you might think, oh, these are not these tactics are not a big deal, but they are very helpful because the USMLE, they've gone away from buzzwords. You can't go into the exam expecting to recognize a question or answer choices because it's not a thing anymore. You have to know it cold. And if you dissect these practice questions, you get good at breaking things down and building up your story. So again, if you missed it from the beginning of the video, my name is Francisco.
So that's Francisco, guys. Listen, all you need right now to get started is just go online, smashusmle.com. I'm going to put the link in the webinar for you guys. I'm going to put it on YouTube also. Get the 4-week live hybrid masterclass course. I think the next class is coming up in October. We're ready. September class should be wrapping up. All right. Get that right now. It's 2 payments of $499 or 1 payment of $997. Or you can get the self-paced online USMLE course with the masterclass lectures that are pre-recorded. You get that for $597 for 3 months. 6 months is $797 and $997. Go right now to smashusmle.com. Listen, this is going to be the best investment you've ever made. If you're still on the fence, you're not sure if this is the right program, listen, you are missing out. All right. Stop wasting your time going on forums, struggling every day, try to figure out what's the right answer to my problems. How can I get through the board review? We are there for you to support you all the way. Listen, we have covered so much information today. I know a lot of you might have some other questions, but listen, thank you so much again for coming on the webinar. You guys are awesome as usual. You listen, we're going to be having another special guest, which I'm going to be putting the link in the webinar on our Smart MD WhatsApp group for the students who are already part of the program. This is already recorded. So if you want to get access to it, you can go online and get access to it on YouTube. If not, we're going to post the link to it on our Smart MD WhatsApp group. I'm putting the link for some of you guys who are asking here that they want to be able to get access to the course so that you can get started. Listen, I am committed to your success all the way. I want you to be successful. I want you to become an attendant just like me in the near future, match into residence, get high board scores, but ultimately, I want you to be very successful. I want you to be an excellent physician. Listen, thank you so much. We've covered so much today on the webinar. I hope this was really an enjoyable experience and you guys learned a whole lot. Till I see you guys next time, keep working hard. The sky's the limit. And remember, anything is possible. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.